Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 232 for February 2nd through the 8th. This week we lead with New Zealand's back-to-back Sevens glory in Perth and the historic sellout in Nairobi as the Sevens 2 series prepares for a massive weekend. On the international stage, a critical report from BBC Sport details the emotionally damaging experiences of Scotland's 2025 World Cup squad, while the Welsh Rugby Union faces a potential referendum. Domestically, leagues in Wales, Ireland, France, Canada, and the United States saw clinical shutouts. I'm Wendy, here to bring you the latest in women's rugby news. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. We're tracking a high-stakes race to the number 287 between Women's Rugby Rundown and Australia Sevens sensation Maddison Levi. While we are rapidly closing in on our 287th episode, Maddie is on a historic chair, chasing the all-time world try-scoring record of 287, currently held by New Zealand's Portia Woodman-Wycliffe. As of this week, we sit at 232 episodes with 55 to go, while Maddie has reached 233 career tries, leaving her just 54 scores away from the crown. It's a true sprint to see who reaches the milestone first. In international sevens news, New Zealand continues an unbeaten streak as they go back-to-back by defeating Australia 29-7 in the Perth final. This is their first ever title in Australia. Despite an early lead from Australia, New Zealand took control before halftime thanks to a standout performance by player of the final, Kelsey Tanetti. This victory confirms the Black Ferns at the top of the league standings as they continue their dominant season run. France rounded out the podium by snatching the bronze medal with a late score against the United States. Despite a fourth-place finish in the tournament, the USA holds steady in a third place with 54 points. France has successfully jumped over Canada to take fourth place, while Japan, Fiji, and Great Britain see no changes and are still at risk of relegation. The draw for the HSBC Sevens in Vancouver has set the stage for some big clashes at BC Place this March. Fresh off their win in Perth, New Zealand headlines Pool A against France, Japan, and Great Britain, while Australia faces a stiff first-day challenge against USA, Canada, and Fiji in Pool B. There has been some squabble on social media about how this new revamped Sevens series isn't really doing it for the fans. It's only 8 teams, and so the changes in the pools and who plays who is very stilted at this point. It's probably too late to put the cat back in the bag for World Rugby on this one, but it really makes us want to think about next year. Will they continue with this format? To be clear, we do love the Sevens 2 format. They're going to get more games than they've ever gotten, those teams. And the 3 would love that to be a 2 or 3 stop, just like the Challenger. But the top 8 doesn't seem to be the way to go. There's just not enough variance there. We're seeing the same teams do the same thing every stop. Speaking of Sevens 2, Nairobi is set for a historic weekend as the first ever Sevens 2 stop will take place in Nairobi. And they've officially sold out the National Stadium. 30,000 tickets flew off the shelves. The Kenya Lionesses will face a challenging pool featuring China, Spain, Brazil, alongside South Africa and Argentina. With capacity crowd expected for the weekend event, teams are competing for a high-stakes spot at the first stop on their way to the World Championship Series. Moving to international 15s, a critical report from reporter Currie and BBC Sport revealed that Scotland players described the 2025 World Cup as an emotionally damaging experience due to Scottish Rugby's handling of their contracts. We reported on this months ago, but this is an updated report that has a lot of the players actually speaking out. Several athletes reported severe mental health issues after learning their deals would expire shortly after the tournament, forcing some to search for jobs during their downtime between matches. While the union maintains their support was in place, players claim they felt disposable and under immense pressure to perform for their future livelihoods. On a more positive note for Scotland, history will be made on April 18th as ticket sales for the Women's Six Nations clash against England have already surpassed 19,000. This massive turnout at Murrayfield will shatter the long-standing attendance record for women's sport in Scotland, previously held by the national football team. The WRU, the Welsh board, is working to get ahead of a potential extraordinary general meeting by sending a united letter to every club in Wales. They are defending their unanimous decision to partner with Y11 for the future of Cardiff, claiming it was the strongest bid on its merits. While the board admits it inherited a financial crisis and a debilitating mess from past regimes, they insist their new plan for only 3 properly funded professional teams is the only way to secure a sustainable future. In a critical high-stakes appearance, members of the Canada national rugby team stepped into the Dragon's Den to pitch a $250,000 sponsorship. The segment highlighted the stark financial plight of elite athletes who receive only $1,300 to $2,000 a month to compete for their country. While the Dragons were dismayed by the lack of government support, they ultimately declined to invest, citing the difficulty of sponsorship model over equity ownership. The Southeast or C Championship kicked off with a gritty 15-15 draw between Malaysia and Singapore. Both teams showed some rustiness after long layoffs from Test rugby, yet they delivered a back-and-forth battle in the Kuala Lumpur heat. Singapore controlled much of the possession, but Malaysia's scramble defense and a clinical finishing kept them in the hunt. A last-minute try ultimately leveled the score to split the points. Despite Whitney Hanson's landmark appointment as Black Ferns head coach, women's coaching stats in New Zealand are trending downward, reports Alice Soper. Women hold just 22% of high-performance roles, with many qualified coaches moving overseas for leadership opportunities due to lack of domestic growth. The number of teams without any female coaches has doubled since 2023, signaling a need for targeted intervention to ensure female leadership continues to develop within the sport. Now we'll hop over domestic and club news. USA Club Rugby is delivering high-stakes drama across the Gulf Coast and Pacific regions. In the Red River Premiership, Life University remains unbeaten in D1 after a decisive win over the Sharks, while Little Rock dominated D2 with a massive shutout. Out west, Life West has made a major statement in NorCal with a 98-3 victory, and the San Diego Surfers continue to lead a tight, undefeated race in SoCal. Round 10 of the Welsh Premiership saw Llandaff North maintain their lead at the top of the table after a clinical 34-7 victory over Buryport. Seven Sisters delivered the most dominant performance of the weekend with a 39-0 shutout against Unici, while the closest battle took place between Bonymain and Pontyclean. Cardiff secured a 22-14 win over Carnarvon to round out the weekend's results. Round 8 of the BC Premier saw Mariloma maintain their position at the top of the table, though they dropped a tough match to West Shore 21-34. Castaway Wanderers delivered the round's biggest blowout, crushing Seattle 85-7, while Burnaby Lake secured a tight 19-10 road win over UBCOB Ravens. These results have tightened the race at the top as teams head into a short break. Round 13 of the Irish Nigeria AIL saw a clean sweep of away wins, headlined by UL Bohemian, maintaining their perfect 13-0 record at the top of the table. The most dominant performance came from Blackrock in a 60-0 shutout of Toulouse, while Railway Union and Old Belvedere also secured clinical bonus point victories. The most competitive match of the weekend took place at Shaw's Bridge, where Ennis edged out Cook 31-27 thanks to a dramatic late try. Round 9 of the AXA Elite 1 was headlined by a massive top-of-the-table clash, where Stade Toulousain handed ASM Romagna their first loss of the season with a 23-17 victory. This win keeps Toulouse perfect and extends their lead in the standings, while Stade Bordelais kept pace by delivering the round's biggest blowout, a 55-7 win over Toulon. Blagnac and Montpellier also secured key victories to stay in the hunt for the top spots. Round 10 of the PWR was a weekend of high drama, featuring two massive draws and a clinical shutout. The league leaders, Gloucester Hartpury, extended their perfect season to a 10-0 with a 22-7 win over Sale, maintaining their top spot at the top of the table. Meanwhile, Saracens delivered the round's biggest statement, crushing Leicester 81-0 with 4 tries from Jess Breach to keep the pace in the title race. The opening round of the Uganda Women's Premiership kicked off, marking the start of a restructured season where 7 teams will compete in a home and away format. Defending champions Black Pearls began their quest for a 5th consecutive title with a strong 28-13 victory over Hughes at Kings Park Arena. Round 10 of Series A Elite saw league leaders Valsugana deliver a historic 99-0 shutout against Neapolis. The win firmly secures Valsugana's spot at the top of the table as they head into the final stretch of the regular season. This dominant display featured 15 tries and keeps them ahead of their closest rivals, Villorba, who still have a game in hand to play later this month. The Kenya Cup League season is officially underway. 4-time defending champions Mwamba opened their title defense at home against Shambarere, looking to continue their long-standing dominance in the competition. While most scores are still rolling in for the league, the Kenya Harlequins made a massive statement early by defeating the NYS Spades 46-5, signaling their intent to challenge for the top spot this year. The Urban Rugby Championship in the United States is celebrating its 5th anniversary, marking its growth into a premier national stage for youth from under-resourced communities. Originally launched in Memphis in 2022, the tournament has since expanded to Los Angeles and New Orleans, providing elite opportunities for minority students to compete on professional stages. This year's milestone event kicks off March 20th in Dallas, continuing the mission of removing barriers to the sport. That does it for us. There's always more news on our site at yscrugby.com. Never miss an episode of Women's Rugby Rundown by listening to anywhere you can listen to podcasts.